We're live.
Hey, just like that, that was a quick one today. Just jump right into it and let's see what happens.
That's what we got to do today because we are running late tonight and we
Oh
both
man.
want to get to bed as soon as we can.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. How you doing, man? How you doing?
All right, man. How about you?
My hair looks like the last fight, just pure garbage. Look at that. I fell asleep. I was like laying on the couch, kind of passing in and out. It was that
You actually
riveting.
fell asleep during this fight.
Yeah, dude, of course I did. It was garbage.
No, man, I was impressed. Let's just get into it. Logan Paul goes the distance with Floyd Mayweather.
Did you share before you shared? Did you share it to Facebook, my friend?
I'm doing that now, but you were already starting to talk about
I know.
the fight,
I was
and I thought
talking
we
about
would
it. I figured
continue
you
to go
talk
into
about
that.
it. I just
But if
want to
you'd
get
like, we can stick with our regular format. And yeah, we'll share it on Facebook and then double back and revisit the conversation about the fights.
What did you? Yeah, no, I thought it was. I don't know. It was one of those things.
So yeah, I'm sharing the links right now. We've already got comments in the chat. Trevor Poulin is saying, "Yo, boys, good to see you. Good to see you too, Poulin."
Yeah.
All right, let's send this out.
Fire it off, and we'll get it going.
Link
What are you wearing
there.
today? Is that a McLovin shirt today, my friend?
Yes, sir.
McLovin, look at you out there. What are we going here?
All right, that link is out, and I will share that on my Facebook as well. And when you are ready,
We're ready. Let's just go. I'll work on my end here as we talk. Let's get into it. So, what'd you think of that? What'd you? I'll start it off by saying I wouldn't pay for that.
you know what? I will say this, man. It was a lot more of a fight than I was expecting. You know, I think a lot of people thought Logan Paul was going to get knocked out first round. Logan Paul goes the distance. That's extremely surprising. What do you think about that?
Mayweather's old.
Mayweather is old. And you know what? You've been saying for a while, Mayweather may not have the knockout power. It's kind of hard to argue against that after this fight, you know?
He hasn't had knockout power since he was 30, so 14 years ago.
It sure seems like it after this fight. Mayweather didn't get the job done, went the distance, and no winner was declared. Funny how that works.
Did you see the size of the mitts, though? They were the same size as Mayweather's head. Like, those were pillows.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, what a joke.
I will say this, that Logan Paul doing a lot of hitting, in the earlier rounds. The later the fight went, the more Logan Paul was like grabbing and holding him and making Mayweather try to hold him up. But early on, Logan Paul was doing a lot of punching, and I didn't see a whole lot of power behind it. It was a lot of like do. Not
that's all they're good for. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, he literally knocked out a former NBA player. Like his last fight. Dude, he's got nothing. Logan Paul's got nothing. He should go to that. He should go to that Japanese area where he got banned from TikTok and help himself out.
Mm-hmm. Fuck. Actually, that was a YouTube video that he did, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where he should go back. We're done with him.
The one thing, do you have anything else to say about this fight? There's not much you can say. It was surprisingly long. It went 8 rounds, and
the announcers were amazing on how they just ripped him apart the whole time.
Yeah,
like little YouTube guy. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's all he is. He's just a YouTuber. There's nothing good about him. I didn't know who he was. The wife knew who he was. And I obviously know the Paul brothers, but the wife's like, who's that guy? And she's like, oh, this guy. And I was like, sure. I've never followed him on YouTube. I've never watched any of his videos. So
I knew who he was because of his little death.
That's it. Yeah,
story that was all over the internet.
That's
how I heard of him. Yeah, good for him. One thing I'm going to say about this fight: hell of a way to build to a fight with his brother. I figure if Logan Paul, who is not a great boxer, the lesser in the skill category of the boxers can go the distance, perhaps it could build some doubt in the Jake Paul Logan Paul fight that we all know is coming. It kind of makes me think it's a bit of a work. I honestly, when I think about it like that, it's like, yeah, seems a little suspicious when you really think about it.
I kind of agree with you. Take an old man who won't be able to knock you out. You get in the ring, you go the distance with him. Mm-hmm. And then Mayweather's probably got like a cash bonus in the back where if he goes the distance, my brother goes the distance, we'll give you an extra $5 million. And he just goes, oh,
I don't know about the legality of all that, but I think that.
Well, dude, that's your own stupidity if you bet on that. Like, it wasn't an official bout, so nothing can be when they take their fight. They did nothing wrong. It's a bout. It was a bout. It wasn't a fight. It was a bout. It was
an
exhibition bout. Yeah. So like anything goes, right? Like fuck. I'm surprised the other idiot Paul didn't jump in the ring and make some type of spectacle out of it, which I thought he was going to.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I know maybe not in terms of betting to go the distance, but I think that in terms of making money in the long term, like I said, there's going to be a lot more money in the Jake Paul fight with Floyd Mayweather if he creates a little bit of doubt, and that's what he did. Floyd's a businessman. He said he's in it for the entertainment value. This is not really going to count against his record, so why not let this guy go the distance, create a little bit of doubt, and then make a boatload of money when you beat up his brother?
Well, it's true, but I don't know if I want to take his brother on. His brother's hands are a bit more educated. He's got a little bit more power behind his punches. I don't know if I want to take that because in the first round, when Logan got him with a couple of good shots, and then he was like, "Oh fuck." He's like, okay, hang on, he can actually punch. Like he took a couple, and then Floyd's like, I've been fucking around too long. And then as the fight, and a good thing about Mayweather, and they said like he's the best defensive like boxer, dude. Once he decided, he's like, fuck this. He's just like he had his shoulder back, and he was doing his typical like slide and jab and his counters and stuff. I'm like, you're done. The minute he is comfortable enough to give you that left shoulder, and he comes in with his jab, you're done. There's nobody's beating that. I don't care who you are. You're not beating that. Even though you have big giraffe arms and you should have just been able to slap him in the face, Mayweather's not letting you do that.
Yeah, I did have a note. My computer messed up, as we mentioned before, or as you and I mentioned before we went on the air. But I did make a note that first round, Jake Paul got in a really nice flurry at the end of the first round, and then you could see Floyd Mayweather kind of looking like, ooh, wow, that's pretty impressive. I feel like that might have been a little bit of theatrics. That to me feels like they're working the crowd here. That he gets a good flurry in at the end of the fight. Floyd trusts him enough that lets him punch him a couple times. He's got his hands up, and then he gets to go to his corner and go, ooh, wow, that was impressive. Maybe this guy's got a little more going on. Then it builds.
Yeah, it's true. But I also think that Floyd's a vet, right? So you see them when Logan's clinching, and then you see like the quick couple of body shots just to, and then you see him kind of bend over. And then between rounds, he's like, I can't sit. My ribs are fucked. I guarantee Mayweather fucked up his ribs. I guarantee it. That's what I mean. Like he's an old vet now. We can call him an old vet where he just kind of gets in and then gives you the shots where you don't think of doing shots. You're like, oh, that looked like it hurt. So those little bastards you don't expect to hit you in the ribs that just take your fucking whole, just change your whole fucking perspective on the fight, right?
Well, absolutely. And I'm not a huge boxing fan. I've seen enough Floyd Mayweather. What I've seen is he likes to sort of drag his opponent into the deep water, and then they don't have enough energy to swim back to shore, and that's when he sinks them. And that's what it looked like he was doing early on. And Logan Paul, I will give him credit. He made him carry his weight to tire him out, and some good strategies on both guys. So
Logan Paul coming into the fight saying he wants round 2 or to fight Mayweather Paul 2. I said if I was a Paul brother and I was really going to make some money, I'd go Tyson. Okay. But I would go because Tyson's 55, but I mean, he's still got punching power. But if you can hold 8 rounds with Floyd, I might try and go 5 with Tyson.
You got an interesting point because there's a lot of these big name guys out in the mix that they're more in it for the entertainment value, more in it to get a big payday. They're not necessarily as interested in their win-loss record at this point. A lot of these fights you'll hear don't count to their win-loss record, which is a silly sort of thing, but they keep saying it. And there's a lot of guys out there in the mix. The Paul brothers could be, who knows, maybe they could be working their way to a Tyson fight. That'd be really cool, actually.
Yeah, Tyson fight or Holyfield was there, so who knows, right?
Did you want to talk about Chad Johnson versus Brian Maxwell?
Ocho Cinco, my boy.
What can you tell me about this guy? I don't know who he is. So
great wide receiver, played for the Cincinnati Bengals for years. Okay. Once his career was done, he changed his name. So his number was 85. Changed his last name legally to Ocho Cinco. So he became number 85 so that he could brand it and use it to his own thing. He's in great shape. He tried to play in the CFL, I believe, for the Alouettes. I think he lasted a couple of games and said, I'm not getting paid enough. It's not for me. I'm done. And I was impressed. I was literally, he went in the ring with a bare knuckle Wow, I can't talk.
Bare knuckle boxer, yeah.
Bare knuckle fighter. There we go.
Yeah.
And he, you know what? He got knocked down. He got right back up. He did a couple of nice jabs. So, but he's naturally athletic, right? So you could just see the guy for his age too, still jacked and shredded. Well, so I was really impressed with that.
And what I sort of gleaned from the lead into this fight, looks like he's done some soccer. He's done a little bit of everything, and it's kind of, he's got a bucket list of things that he's doing. That's really good for him. This fight, in my opinion, the first round, I'd say he won. The second round was a little too close to call. Third round, I might lean a little bit towards Maxwell, and the fourth round I would give to Maxwell. And I think the longer the fight would have gone, if
Maxwell would have took it down. Yeah, Maxwell would have took it down. I mean, I don't know, man. To me, that was a good fight. Like I said to you before, there was none of that Snoop Dogg stuff that I kind of didn't mind. I wouldn't have minded it tonight because it was a pretty dead night. Like I wouldn't have minded a couple of rap songs or some rock or something in there because like it needed something. Like, and it's
I'm not sure I agree, but sure.
Well, it needs something else because like, and then the two fights between like the two legit boxing matches were really good, right? So I mean, so it was like I enjoyed the Johnson fight. I enjoyed the other ones, and then the last fight, I was just like, this is a joke.
Yeah, and like I said to you when we were talking about the show and how much it's a big difference, this was brought by Bravo, and the other one was brought by Triller or Trilum or whatever. I don't know. That's Jake Paul's company. They're not quite as put together yet, whereas Bravo's obviously an old pro. They know what they're doing here. All right, so you want to get into some news?
Let's do it, buddy. Let's go it now. If anybody wants to talk, you always have the settings up. So if anybody still wants to talk boxing, we can gladly do that as well.
Yeah,
I'm fairly educated in that.
I think Trevor Poulin is the only one actually watching us right now. But if anyone's got any comments in the chat, let us know. We're always looking for. And Poulin saying only if Jake can get through Woodley. I don't know what to think about that.
I think he's gonna. I
think that's gonna be a hard one for him, but.
Woodley still has a chin, so he's still got a chin, so he should be okay. I think I want to go the distance. I don't think there'll be any knockouts. But enough with this, like, we're not keeping score millennial bullshit. Mm-hmm. Listen, if I'm going to train for fucking 6 months to get in the ring, somebody's counting. Somebody's giving me a score. So even if I get my ass kicked, I can at least pin that on the wall and say I made $10 million off this fight and I got my ass kicked.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I sent you a video. Have you seen this? There was a boating incident. Did you hear? You saw this, right?
Yes, I did see this.
Okay. So basically, there were. It was an incident in Moses Lake, Washington. A Twitter user by the name of Retro Ushi identifies as trans and queer. They were out. They had a Pride. It is Pride Month. They had a Pride flag, and they were being ridiculed by another boater. There's a woman that was giving them the middle finger and circling them and apparently using some pretty derogatory terms. And then their boat blew up. They were smited by God instantly.
Wow, that is very, very impressive.
Yeah.
What are the chances of that? That's instant karma, right? Like that's the instant karma bullshit, you know. And then did they not, the Pride people, go and save the people on the boat? They did not.
I didn't see anything about who saved who. I'm sure somebody would have had to have saved them. I wouldn't blame them if they didn't save them, though. They're under no obligation to save these people.
I know, just let them drown, right?
Yeah. Well, there have been stories in the news of people who have seen people drown and then done nothing to save them, and they don't end up getting in trouble. So, depending on what part of the country you're in, I'm not sure what your obligations are, but I wouldn't have blamed them if they would have let them drown. Whatever. These are bigoted pieces of shit, literal pieces of shit, I might add, because the person that was driving literally shit his pants while this was happening. They know because he lost his shorts once he got into the water, and they saw the shit fall out of his ass.
Well, that's good. I mean, keeps him regular anyways, right? Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest thing. And let alone if my boat's sinking in the middle of the ocean, I'd probably shit myself too, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? That's good for them. I don't hope they drown, but I hope they learned a valuable lesson. Like, what's the sense of making fun of somebody for Pride? Who cares?
No, it's like, it's 2021. We're all pretty like how can people be intolerant at this point? They see
it's uneducation, man, is what it is. It's lack of education, I should say. It's lack of education, and then they're just brought up that way. I don't care if you're a tranny, trans, queer, whatever.
Whoa! A tranny, trans, queer? Did you just say that?
I don't know if I edit that one out. I don't know. No, but I don't care what you identify as. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm just trying to say is I don't care what you identify as. I don't even care if you have a month. For as far as I'm concerned, always fly your flag, and it will not bother me.
That's fair. All right. Well, have you heard about this Ellie Kemper story? You know who Ellie Kemper is? She was on The Office, redhead girl towards the end of the series. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmid, apparently.
Okay.
I've never really seen that.
I never watched The Office, but I know who she is. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Did you hear how she's now associated with the KKK?
No. Explain to me how the hell this. Okay, so continue, and then I'll ask you the questions that I need to ask.
Okay, so basically, in 1999, when she was living in St. Louis, she was a kid, like she was 19 years old, I believe, and won a Queen of Love and Beauty. She was crowned the Queen of Love and Beauty at the Veiled Prophet Ball, which apparently is held by white supremacists. The entire premise of this is for white supremacy is basically what it was.
What was the name that she won it under? Like, what was the name of the ball?
It was the Veiled Prophet Ball, which is interesting.
Yeah. You think there's a little KKK in there? There's a veil and a prophet. Yeah, there's probably some KKK ramifications. How long ago was this?
It was 1999. So
22
years ago, yeah.
So you and I are still in high school.
Yeah.
We are still young and impressionable. DX is telling people to suck it.
Exactly.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is drinking beer instead of his boss.
The world is very different, but not different enough to accept the KKK, because that was still not cool back then.
Literally, it wasn't. It's so true, though. Like, what else was happening back then? I'm trying to think of.
A lot of stuff. This was happening, though.
Apparently, yeah. Wow. So I guess she just won it. Like, where is she from?
It was like a pageant. She was in St. Louis. It was
Missouri.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were that racist. I thought a little further south, like, if it would have been like Mississippi or Alabama.
Well, here's the thing: is it's been said. Like, I'm not exactly breaking new ground when I say this. Is I think she was just in some like small town, probably near St. Louis, and
she was smoking hot, and they were like, "Here, have a prize."
Well, basically, she won some small town backwards hillbilly pageant, and 1999, she didn't really.
Well, yeah, 1999, our prime minister was doing blackface, so I can't really hurt her for that.
But I mean, the internet was around; she could have looked into it. But 1999, like, I think. Fucking out of everyone we know, I was probably the only one that had internet access in 1999. Like, I don't think there was a whole lot of, it was super prevalent. I don't think you couldn't pull out your phone and just Google anything. So she probably had no idea. It was some backwoods story.
And yet again, lack of education, right? With the same first story, with the Pride story, right? If you don't have the education on it, if you're only around, like, you got to think, like, and people, like, I'm sure kids, if they ever see this, will be like, what? You only knew what you were taught.
Yeah.
You couldn't go out and find it. Yeah, like, the encyclopedias we had were from 1989. Yeah. That was the encyclopedias.
Well, that's it. It's like probably kids today don't even look at an encyclopedia. They like,
probably don't even know what it is.
Is that like some brand of the off-brand Wikipedia that's out there?
It's Google. It was our Google. That's what it was, right?
But exactly. It's 1999. The internet was around, and she could have looked into what this was, but she probably didn't think anything of it. It was some pageant. She was probably like super happy to win this pageant. Turns out 140 years before, it was founded by racists for white supremacists. I don't think it's actually KKK. I think it's like a white supremacist thing that has fallen away. Like, obviously it's not a white supremacist thing now, but the roots of this pageant or this ball or whatever were rooted in white supremacy. She probably has no idea. She hasn't made any statement towards it. Probably today, a lot of people would know more about it, whereas 1999, it's not, you can, like I said, Google anything now and, oh shit, I don't really want to be involved with that now, but back then, probably had no idea. Just happy to win something.
And she was young too, right? Wasn't she? She's not our age.
She's only 19 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. So she is our age. Okay. So yeah. So like that's just happy to be happy-go-lucky and wanted to win it and probably got $500 or something dumb. They go out. She's not even legal drinking age yet in the States. So
no,
like she's still considered a child. So yeah, I can kind of see it. If you don't leave your little redneck town, you don't know what else is out there.
No. Yeah. And again, couldn't look it up.
Yet again, lack of education.
So I sent you I sent you a video. We only got one or two more stories here, so we're going to be done pretty quick. I sent you a video before the show. Was a girl, not a woman, because she was only 17 years old, saves her dogs from a bear attack in California. What'd you think of that video? Wow.
You know what? I'm not going to say this, but like there is some redneck that is in love with a woman right now. That girl. I mean, I watched that video and I was thinking to myself as I watched that video, a lot of things. I do that for my dogs as well. Like my dog, I would go out and fight for my dog. But the girl, the woman with the hands, that pass blocking queen, just kind of hitting the bear up, and the bear's like, whoa, what's going on here? Like the bear was confused, and she's just like, not on my watch. Yeah. Not today.
So you would actually do this if you saw like a bear attacking your dog. You would go out and like fight the bear.
I'd punch the bear. I'd kick the bear right in the nuts.
See, now here's the thing. We're fortunate because we live in Northern Ontario. The bears we have are like they're like glorified dogs. Like they're stylized dogs almost. Like most dogs that I know are more vicious. I'm more afraid of a dog biting me than a bear attacking me in Northern Ontario.
Well, we've also had luck of running into bears and we're shit-faced and bears running away.
Yeah. Listen, bears are very timid in Northern Ontario. But
I don't want to fight a bear because if the bear gets me, that's the problem.
But in Northern Ontario, I don't think you have it could happen, but most of the time you see a bear in Northern Ontario, it's going to run away. In California, though, they have fucking grizzly bears. Like there's some pretty, like a grizzly bear will tear your head off without even thinking twice about it. So,
any animal will if you put it in the wrong position, right? Like you get between a black bear mama and a black bear cub, you tell me how you're going to end up.
And that's it. This is a brown bear, but there were cubs. If you watch, she's with her cubs, so she's going to be very protective there. And if you watch, there's 3 dogs go out and they start like confronting this dog, trying to get it away. And it almost, if you watch carefully, it looks like the bear almost grabs one of the looks like it had captured one of the little dogs. And, you would think a dog would be a lot more capable of fighting a bear off in this situation, but somehow she just shoved the bear over the fence and that was it. And, a dog obviously isn't capable of doing that, but in that case, a human was capable. The woman's name is Haley Mornico. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'll do my best. And she actually said afterwards, I don't know what I was thinking. I just reacted. I just kind of did what I had to do.
That's called fight or flight, right? And a lot of people, most of the world, 80% of the world has the flight. They run the other way when people run towards it. You hear screaming, people run away from screaming. Some people run towards screaming. So that girl is just like, nope, my dogs. And that just goes to show you on what you can do when you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Well, she even said in retrospect, she wouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have done it. She didn't, she wouldn't have done it if she had thought about it, but she just reacted and it was just what she could have done. And she realized later how dangerous it was, how badly she could have been hurt. So don't advocate anyone doing it, but Haley Mornico is a hero for her dog.
We'll just call it Haley. Haley, you are a hero today. That's you're a hero, and not a lot of people would do what she did.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you get to sleep with your dog in your bed and pet your dog. So I mean, it's a win-win. Yeah,
big props to her.
Yeah.
All right, last thing is, did you watch the Grizzly Smith documentary?
No. I didn't. I watched everybody else. I didn't have time. I haven't had time. I have been. My wife went and got LoJack today, so I haven't had time to watch. She got the Sputnik V there.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't had time at all to watch it all this weekend. I've been stupid busy.
Okay, so I'll tell you about what it was like.
Well, so did you watch the resurrection of Jake Roberts?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what I'm kind of basing some of it on, and I'm assuming they went a little deeper into it, and it's
not really anything like that.
Continue.
All right, so the Grizzly Smith documentary, you weren't able to watch it. That's okay. Basically, It was a documentary, Dark Side of the Ring, where they interviewed all of Jake's family members. Now, are you aware of how many siblings Jake Roberts has?
4?
Yeah. I was surprised. I knew 2. Sorry, he's one of 4. So I knew of 2. There's Rockin' Robin, who had a short career in the WWE, which I thought was a lot longer, but she had a 2-year run as a wrestler. I knew she was a wrestler. There's Sam Houston, who was basically like what you would call a jobber. Like he never really
enhancement talent. We do not call them jobbers. Well, enhancement talent.
He had a good enough run for himself, but on a national level, never quite made it that far. And then he had another brother who's got nothing to do with
the business,
with wrestling. He's just he looks like he does a lot of motorcycling and seems like a pretty well put together guy. Probably the most stable out of all of them. A lot of talk about Grizzly Smith. I mean, I'm just going to say it. He's a piece of shit. A lot of the siblings say that they were touched by him or they're
molested.
Yeah. So it's a pretty hard thing to watch. Also, a lot of stuff that they say is, in the context of today, hard to even really believe. Like they would say he'd go on a week-long trip with an underage person and the family would be like, yeah, it's cool. Like, see you when you get back. And today, if that were to happen, it'd be like, no, that's not okay.
Well, it depends on who the person is.
I don't know. Do you think that if you had a 12-year-old girl, that if some old 40-year-old man was like, I'm going to take her on the road with me for
well, that's what I mean. Like, if it's like me and my niece, like somebody says something, trying to kiss my ass, but like, not like, is it like, are you talking like the next door neighbor?
It seems like it was just fans or something. Like, that's the way that it was painted. And they're like, yeah, we didn't think anything of it. And I hear that kind of stuff. And even when you hear these Bill Cosby accusations, all these stories, they seem to have a much more casual, okay vibe with stuff that when I hear it, I go, there's no fucking way that that's okay, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, what time was this? What, like 70s?
70s, yeah.
Maybe people were people were obviously more trusting back then.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you probably seen it, and to be honest with you probably look at it, and he was a wrestler, was he not?
Yeah, he was a wrestler.
William
Smith Sr. and Jacob William Smith Jr.
Well, put it this way. So if you're in the 70s, your family doesn't have a lot of money, you're coming back from Nam, you have a daughter, and then there's a wrestler that lives next door to you.
Like, well, this isn't even next door. This is just, I don't know, maybe they met at one of the wrestling shows or something.
Oh, and they were just like, yeah, cool, I love this guy. Like, great in-ring talent. Like, got a picture with him, seems really nice. Hey, my daughter gets to go with him on trips because, what, he's bored. He's like, hey, yeah, I'll bring some fans with me. It
doesn't
what
sound right
for me.
Doesn't sound right to me. I don't get it. When I hear these stories, and even Jim Cornette is a pretty outspoken guy, and he's going, yeah, you'd hear all these stories like he's got some underage kid on his knee reading him Bible verses and whatever, and Jim Cornette's like, I didn't really think anything of that. Years later, I realized it was just the other thing. And
fucking corny, I tell you.
Yeah,
I know, dude. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to me. Yet again, lack of education, I guess, and people are more trusting, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the guy's reading a Bible verse doesn't mean he's a nice person, as we know.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, that seems to usually be the hiding spot for them. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, terrible. And other things that struck me from this episode that were strange was even though they were all victimized by him or victimized by even some of his like wives or whatever in some cases, and he protected those situations, they were all attached to him. They were all sad when he passed away. They all cared about it.
It's Stockholm syndrome, right? You look at Stockholm syndrome, and there's so many. Just type it in your Google machine if you don't know what Stockholm syndrome is.
You're right, yeah.
And basically, that's what happens is that you feel that you're obligated to your abuser, and that's another reason why a lot of a lot of these things don't come out, like the Cosby stuff and all this, because they have an admiration for a certain human being. And then what happens though is it takes one person to come out and say it. Mm-hmm. And then they go, okay, well, that happened to me too. And then they continue. That's how come they all come out at once. And you go, wow, how the hell did this happen? Why? Because one person had stones to stand up, and the next one didn't, and the next one did right behind them. And then there's strength in numbers. Where with these guys, it was like, that's my dad. That's, you know, my dad, or and Jake's side. I don't even know how that works. My sister's my mother, who's my aunt. I don't know how that worked with Jake Roberts, but that's a big fucked up situation. And that's all it is, right? Is yet again, and I feel bad for like these parents. If my child was ever, hey, Dad, I'm going to go on the road with this guy, like, fuck.
No, I even if, to me, that part of the documentary, I'm like, if I even heard about that, it'd be like, whoa, you're not going, like, I don't know, it's not my kid, I maybe don't even know you, but if it's like, I'm going on a trip with this older gentleman for the next 5 or 6 days, and my parents are nowhere to be seen, and I'm sleeping in his hotel room, and yada, 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 it's like, no, I'm not okay with that. Like, you know,
a little different if it's, hey, Adam, I'm going on a trip too. I got to go to work, but I'm working in California today. And you got a little one. Hey, why don't you and the little one come with me?
Yeah.
We'll go clip down. We'll drink beers. The kids will be kids, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
But not like me and your kid, not me and a kid alone. I wouldn't even do that. I don't even like to have me and a female alone if we're having a conversation. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're at work, I make sure that we're in camera view so that there's no issues. Like, if anything, you got to learn from these mistakes. But yet again, 70s, man, like people were different back then, I guess.
A lot of it, you know, having grown up in the 80s, some of that might have been there. You know, sometimes you'd hear about, like, you know, characters in movies or something would be friendly with children or whatever. And to me, that even seemed bizarre that, you know, whatever, but just, I don't know, just a very different time.
Listen, but I don't know, man. Like, if I don't even understand how that works, because, like, I'm trying to think of it. Like, maybe if I had a kid, they wanted to bring a friend along. Of course, come on, bring a friend along. Like, fuck, cool, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, to me, it's like, hey, if you're going to be occupied, leave me alone and let me do my own thing. Bring whatever the hell you want. But I couldn't see, hey, I like your kid. Like, let me borrow your kid for the evening. No.
I'm just gonna hang out with your kid for the next 3 days, just me and him. Doesn't add up to me. I don't get it. I don't understand how the attitude was. The attitude was a lot different back then, and
especially because they look at celebrities. Probably looked at celebrities, even local, like Dickhead Smith was, and just go, yeah, he's got to be good. He's famous. Like, he's got to be nice. He's got money, and you're like, no, that's the least of your worries, man.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that was sort of good about the documentary was that all of these members of Jake's family were estranged, and they've all sort of come in contact with each other, and they're closer now. So,
well, that's good. I mean, it's unfortunate that it all happened to them, but I mean, hey, if it's bringing them together and they're happy about it, and Jake didn't, and I was surprised that we haven't heard about Jake Roberts going off the deep end lately, because he had his A&E special there. He had his A&E go. His hunt for collectibles.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, he had that one last Friday, and then he had this show come out on the Friday after, last Sunday, and then this Friday came out the Grizzly Smith one, and I'm like, bringing back those old memories, man. Like, especially if you're an addict, like, what do I got to do to forget about this? And that's kind of where it is. And I'm glad for Jake that he hasn't fallen off the wagon. Even if he has, he's just going to get back on it like he has before. But I mean, hey, he's doing real good. So I mean, that's a good positive spin on it.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
That's not that old of a documentary, right? That's got to be like the last 3 or 4 years, right?
Longer than that, probably 10.
10? Okay, because in this documentary, Jake says he's been sober for 10 years, and I'm going, I kind of felt like that resurrection of Jake Roberts was probably out in the last...
Resurrection of Jake Roberts was out when I was in North Bay still. I've been down here for 5.
Okay, but I would have said about 5 would be where I would have put it.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but you got to figure if they do the shooting for the video, then all the editing usually takes about 1.5 years to get out anyways, right? Mm-hmm. So if it was 7 years ago, probably put you about 10 years, yeah?
Could have been. Let me just, I'm just going to Google right now, because you're not going to know when it was made, but what I'm going to Google is when DDP went into the Hall of Fame, because that was during it. He went in 2017. So that is less than 20 years or less than 10 years ago. So I don't know, man. I mean, perhaps he says he's been sober fighting for sobriety. Maybe that's how it is. I don't know. It definitely seemed like he slipped up on that documentary, but perhaps he counts his slip ups as years that he was sober. I don't want to take that away from anyone if that's not.
Well, yeah. So the resurrection of Jake Roberts was 2015.
Okay. 2015.
Yeah, it was 2015. So you're probably looking. Yeah, 6 years ago. Then you got to add the year on for it, right? Year and a half on for it. So
yeah, but didn't DDP go into the Hall of Fame during that?
I don't think so.
I could be misremembering it. Oh, it was Jake that went into the Hall of Fame. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Let me look at that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
I'm not going to call the guy. If a guy calls it 10 years of sobriety, he's never going back, then good for him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, man. That's pretty much all I got today. Pretty short show. You got anything?
I got nothing, today? Man. I got nothing. I'm exhausted. Fuck, it's been a long weekend.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm going to end the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, click subscribe, like, tell your friends. Do all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Do what he just said. Thanks.